Do you prefer the entrepreneur program, which is a work permit then PR? Or do you prefer the startup visa program, which is a direct PR with optional work permit? Both take 2 to 3 years till you get your PR. So why pick one and not the other? Who am I? Well, I'm Reza from Ingwe, Canada, licensed immigration practitioner, and our office specializes in helping people and families and businesses move across borders. Is this what I do for a living? Of course not. I'm not an actual full-time YouTuber, but you may think so, but I'm not. I work hands-on with our licensed team, working on actual applications and communicating with immigration departments, representing our clients on a daily basis, both from inland and outside of Canada. Why are we posting this video? These are made for the purpose of sharing our hands-on immigration knowledge with our worldwide audience. And if you're thinking about immigrating, we're here to help. Get a free email assessment for eligible applicants by filling out the form down below in the description of this video, or reach out to us if you're an immigration practitioner looking to learn or collaborate. What is the advantage of the startup visa program versus the Provincial Entrepreneur Program? The advantages are there's no points-based system for startup visa. There's no age restriction. There's no education, which is mandatory. There's no minimum net worth that is mandatory. There's no minimum investment mandatory. You can have family members or friends or colleagues join you in a startup group. It can be a group activity, which can be an advantage and sometimes a disadvantage, depending on how you look at it. It's a federal program, meaning that under the startup visa program, as long as you stay outside of Quebec, you're fine. No matter where your designated organization is, the work permit is optional on the startup visa program, meaning you can technically stay in your home country until your Canadian Permanent Residency is decided on, whether you're approved or not. It is not mandatory to enter Canada to run your startup before a decision on your PR. You can lock in your dependent child's age at the time you apply for your PR directly from overseas under the startup visa program. Meaning that if you have dependent children who are turning 22 in the next week, months, or less than a year, you may need to apply ASAP under a program that can offer you a PR quickly without a work permit requirement. Next question, what are the Provincial Entrepreneur Program disadvantages? It is a geographically bound and restricted program specific to the province that you're planning to apply to. So you gotta stay in that province. You typically have to reside within 100 kilometers radius of the business you set up or invest in. Although some provinces programs are a bit more flexible. You need to reside 75 to 80% of the time inside Canada in the province during your work permit period. Most provincial entrepreneur programs are based on an expression of interest, which allocates points to your profile. Less so the rural programs, but most of the provincial entrepreneur programs are points-based systems. Another disadvantage, there's more eligibility criteria for the provincial entrepreneur programs than any other business program. Other disadvantages, some provinces have age restrictions for their entrepreneur programs. There's a minimum net worth you need to prove with your assets. There's a net worth audit, which is required through a third-party firm designated by the provincial nominee office, such as MNP, Grant Thornton, KPMG, and so forth, just to name a few. An interview is always required, whether remote or in person, depending on the province. You sign a business performance agreement based on your business plan with the provincial office, which you need to implement, otherwise you will not be nominated for permanent residency after the specific period of time, whether it's 6 months, 12, 18, or 20, depending on the province. Other disadvantages, there are strict criteria for the business plan for the Provincial Entrepreneur Program, according to their guidelines. Some are more strict, such as Ontario PNP or BC PNP, Manitoba and Alberta, but others are less structured and have less criteria, which is required for a business plan. Two provinces such as Ontario and BC actually give you an exact guideline that they score as well. So they actually grade you on your business plan, and it affects your profile score in their expression of interest pool. And then the last disadvantage, it's a work permit program that leads to PR. This means you're not nominated for PR yet until you implement business inside Canada with a work permit, and hence you cannot lock the age of your dependent children during the work permit time until you apply for your PR after the nomination period. So if they turn 22 during this 2-year process, what is the disadvantage of the startup visa program versus the provincial entrepreneur program? You need a designated organization letter of support to apply for your PR and work permit. If you need a work permit issued, you need a valid letter of support. Letters of support are valid 6 months and only. And if you need to apply after the expiry or renew your work permit, you need to ask your designated organization to reissue valid ones. Sometimes they cooperate, sometimes they don't, sometimes they charge you money, sometimes they don't. It is a group activity in most cases in startup, which could be good or bad depending on your situation. If an essential member in your startup visa leaves the group, for whatever reason at some point during this entire PR processing timeline, the entire group could be refused if it's essential. If anybody dies in your startup visa group, God forbid, who is an essential member, you need to start all over with brand new letters of support, brand new application to IRCC. If any of the essential members of your startup visa group have medical issues, or if their spouse or children do, then you could be looking at medical inadmissibility, and all co-founders could be refused if that co-founder was essential. If any of the co-founders in the startup did not disclose the correct information under PR or work permit application, such as previous refusals to US, Canada, or any other country, and they were an essential member, that could also be the grounds for misrepresentation and admissibility to Canada and lead to a refusal for the entire group if they were an essential member. Here's another disadvantage. There's no guarantee regarding your PR decision by the government. Just because you have a letter of support and you apply doesn't mean they're going to give it to you. Will you be approved or refused? And you'll only know after about 2 years after applying. Spending all that money, spending time working on your startup. Here's another disadvantage. There's a gap between the time you receive your letter of support and the time you apply for your PR and maybe your work permit. During that gap, if the federal government changes any criteria of the program, you may be at risk of not being eligible or having to go through extra steps to overcome these new criteria, or being left with an expensive letter of support that has no more value for your PR. Here's another question. What are the advantages of the Provincial Entrepreneur Program? You do not need to invest a penny until your interview is completed. The provincial office issues you a letter to apply for your work permit, LMI exempt, and you receive your work permit and land in Canada. So before you land with that work permit, you don't invest a dime. So in this program, you have very little risk before you're accepted into Canada on a work permit. Unlike the startup visa and other programs, you don't even know if they'll accept you before spending all that money on the designated organization, investment in your startup to prove to IRCC that you're genuine, all before they decide whether to give you a work permit or even a PR. The next advantage of the Provincial Entrepreneur Program, it's based on you, the key applicant. No group activity, no essential members or non-essentials who may risk your success. If you like to depend on yourself for results, and if you're a successful professional business person, then this could be the choice for you. Another advantage would be you have clear expectations from the province and a detailed blueprint on what they expect before they nominate you for PR. Unlike the startup visa program, where you don't have any communication from the IRCC on what they expect from you to be approved for PR, this means there's more security and consistency and clarity with the Provincial Entrepreneur Program, not the startup. It's like trying to design and build a house for a customer, let's say. You're a contractor, and one client, let's say the Provincial Entrepreneur client, let's call them that, gives you a detailed blueprint and tells you everything that they want built according to their specs before they pay you when you get the job. And the other client, let's call them startup visa, comes to you, you're a contractor. They don't give you anything under expectations. And they just say, I want a house and I'll pay for it after. Which client would you work for? That's the difference between startup visa and the Provincial Entrepreneur Program. And the last, you can reside and run your business with your family inside Canada with work permits, study permits, while you complete your business performance milestones before being nominated for PR. And then the last question, which business investment immigration program between these two programs, Provincial Entrepreneur versus startup, is better? Well, it depends on you. Do you have dependent children who are turning 22 in the next 6 months, 3 months, 1 month? Do you like risk? Do you have family members or colleagues or friends who want to create a group together, a startup? Do you like it quick, or do you want the slower, more secure process with the Provincial Entrepreneur Program? So, depending on your profile, either one could be better. If you like immigration hacks, creative immigration solutions, or key analysis of immigration policies and updates, you can click on the subscribe button for our YouTube channel. Or if you're tired of everyone else's monotone immigration YouTube videos, I want a quick laugh. We're here to entertain you in the immigration world. If you're thinking about immigrating, whether permanently or temporarily, you are at the right place, folks. I can guarantee you only one point. You'll know what to expect. The entire process clearly laid out for you like a nice pizza dough, and all the risks identified, including costs. Our legal agreements are based on payment milestones, which are linked directly to your immigration application progression. We don't take 100% advance payment for business and investment immigration applications. We have a $1 million liability insurance, which protects you and us from fraud or mistakes, as well as a dedicated client trust account with our Canadian banking institutions. Our team speaks over 9 languages, and we help applicants from over 49 different countries, which is growing every day. Click the link below this video and get a free email assessment for eligible applicants. And if you're ready to apply and you want a one-on-one session with me or any of my licensed immigration team members at Ingwe, you can book a session directly using the consultation link in the description of this video.